my man Tappy again. How's it going?
I'm good, bruh. Thanks for having me back.
Hey, it's all good. It's great having you. So you're a very philosophical person. Like the stuff you like talking about. I would say, you always have these interesting opinions on different matters. You don't really take the what's it called?
The prevailing opinion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're an agreeable opinion too. Whereas that's the common thing people would think. You like questioning things. So there's something you're talking about me off air. What were you saying?
So remember last time I was here, I was talking about my road trip.
Your road
and
trip,
a lot of free time to think about things, right?
Yeah.
And since then I've been researching a few different, I suppose, schools of thought and going deep into philosophical questions a lot.
Yeah.
Was on the road trip, I ran out of mundane things to think about. And
Yeah.
then what's left is the really hectic questions you usually avoid, like speaking about death, speaking about your own mortality, and about your existential, the reasons for you being here.
Yeah.
How do you fit into the machine, the huge universe idea? All right. So I've been sort of digging into that quite a bit lately. And there are a few little points that came up that were really interesting to me, right? Because I'm not a religious person, right? And I don't believe in a God, but I've always been concrete in that belief, right? Until someone defined God differently, right? Along the way, all the things I was learning, right? I was like, ooh, okay, I think there's something here. Not that I still don't believe in the idea of a deity called God, but I have a different opinion on what God can be, what a God can be like, or the idea of morality, the idea of bad and good, evil triumphing, or evil triumphing over good. No. Right? We all have this idea that it's very easy to say something is bad, something is good, right?
Yeah.
And good actions lead to good people, and bad actions lead to bad people, And actually, I'm realizing it's not that clear cut and dry, right? And also, I had questions around reality. People often talk about we're in a simulation and we're just someone's DOS program, right?
Yeah.
And we just have code that's evolving over time, but it's all someone.
Basically AI.
Yeah, someone else's artificial intelligence.
Exactly,
right? Yeah, someone is messing around and ooh, the last rendering was cut.
Let's retune that.
Yeah. So I've been listening to podcasts and reading up on different topics from people who've dedicated their lives, and I'm talking since the days Plato and Aristotle, all those old school philosophers, Lu Tao, Buddha, all along the way to contemporary people now,
Yeah.
And so I've been having a lot of these thoughts and conversations with people, right, about the idea of if we take good and bad, right, how do you quantify such a thing? Because it's very subjective, right? Because we often think that we as society agree on an idea and that becomes the idea of good, right? But how far does society stretch out? Is it you and your boys? Is it you and Mowbray? Is it you and South Africa and the Constitution? Is you and SADC? Is it you as a Christian country versus an Islam country versus a non-theist country or whatever,
Yeah.
So all that says to me is good and bad are quite adjustable, right? Because they're going to depend on where you are, right? And they're also going to depend on you as a person doing the good or bad act and what you consider good, and the person receiving or being affected by that act, right?
Yeah.
So if I think spanking my child, right, is a violent act, but it's in service of good,
Right.
right? It's a good act then, right?
So
in that particular context.
Yeah, so it's a case what's it called, means to an end.
Yeah.
So yeah,
right?
it justifies the
end, right? Or if you think about me spanking the child now, in that absolute moment,
Yeah.
okay, most people would say it's a bad thing to do.
Yes.
Right? But we haven't seen how it's going to play out. Right? So maybe, actually, let's take a lie. If I say don't play in the road with Cheta Motor, right? Because in the same way with this thing where you say don't play in the road, you get boils on your butt. Right? That's clearly a lie. Right?
Yeah.
And we tell children, don't lie.
Yes.
right? And even as adults, we're expected not to lie because that's a very bad thing to do. But you tell this lie because the greater good is you're going to save a child's life, maybe.
Yeah, probably.
Right,
Yeah.
probably, right? So you're playing the stats game, right?
Yeah.
The more times they play in the street, the higher the chance they're going to die
Yeah.
from a car accident, right?
Yeah.
Right. So is that a good thing or is that a bad thing? And then we can really then apply this to really like, is egregious the word? Like really messed up situations, right? And if you think about it long enough, right? Not that I agree with this thought process, but some people believe like because you can quantify the consequences, any act cannot be judged on its merits. You can't, right? Because no one besides an eternal entity, and that's how people come up with an idea of a god, right?
Right.
That one eternal entity can say, actually, I've seen all the permutations and combinations, and the consequence of this particular action are going to be this. That's a bad thing,
Yeah.
right? But no one else can make that call, right? So what's the point of making those calls, right? If they were just subjective, right? And reactive to a situation based on my lived experience, right?
Yeah.
I know every time this happens to me, I feel bad. Then I go around telling people that's a bad thing to do, right? But same thing happens to you. Every time it happens to you, it's a great thing, right? Based on your childhood, your upbringing, you don't even realize it's a bad thing to you. Give an example.
Yeah.
Growing up, my first sexual experience, I think was like before 10, right? And a lot of kids do this. They play with other children, like cousins and sometimes siblings or whatever, right? They're experimenting and doing all this stuff,
I don't
right?
know about a lot, but okay.
Oh no! People don't talk about this. People don't talk about this, but it happens a lot,
Holy
especially
crap.
cousins.
Okay.
Especially cousins, because I think siblings it makes it's a more difficult thing to do. But with cousins, there's a bit of more of like a gap. But this is well described in psychology. This
Okay.
happens a lot. All right. But beyond that, and that's kind of a typical aspect of children exploring.
But what was your experience, the sexual experience with your cousin?
No, that's not the interesting one, right?
Okay.
That's not the interesting
Okay,
one.
okay.
Yeah. No, that's just like kids messing around in the bathtub. Like,
Right.
what does that do?
Oh,
Right?
okay.
Yeah,
I feel you.
that kind
I
of
see
thing.
what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
right?
Okay, yeah. Makes sense.
So, because you share bath baths together because you save water or whatever, you know,
Yes,
that kind of thing,
yes.
right? And you end up doing other things. But I remember now having what I consider sex with our, in some we call them maids, but domestic worker,
Yeah.
our living domestic worker, right? And I was like 12, right? And she is like 21, right? And for me, that memory is a very good memory.
Yeah.
And it happened over a few weeks, and to the point where she decided, actually, no, it's not cool. Let's not do this, right?
Who approached you?
Right? I approached her. It was weird because we used to sleep on the floor and she slept on the bed next to the floor. So we had a mattress, right? Because we
Yes.
slept all the cousins in one room and her. So one day I was like, I'm sleeping in your bed tonight, right? Jokingly, then just jumped in.
Mm-hmm.
And then she was like, okay, cool, whatever. Then we went to sleep, right? Then in the middle of the night, I woke up and I did some things. I was like, oh, I'm getting somewhere, you know, like, hey, this is working out, this is working out. And she responded, and it was working out. Oh, fuck, amazing. And then over the next few weeks, I would go to sleep on my mattress, and then in the middle of the night, I would wake
Just
up and jump into
slip
bed,
in, yeah.
right? And we do whatever we did, right? And it was never like full-on penetration, like penis and vagina kind of sex, but
Yes.
it was definitely sex,
Right.
And until like maybe 3 years ago, that was a very good memory for me, very fond memory,
Mm.
right? And to someone's like, Brad, you know you're molested, right? Because when I tell that story, you tell, I had sex with 21-year-old.
Yeah,
you know, you're like,
yeah,
I was fucking
yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
When was the first time you had sex? Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, right? So to you, it's a very positive experience, right? And for as far as you're concerned, that's a normal sexual experience, and that's the reality of sex. It's great, and whatever, right? And to someone who has a different idea about sex and about consent and an ideal age for consent, blah blah blah. Again, arbitrarily, we said 18 is the age for consent, right?
Yeah. But even
Right.
then, like your frontal. what's
Yeah,
it
you're
called?
still developing
Yeah, you're still
that,
developing. You're
right?
only developing like 26, 7 in
I
terms
was-
of your actual
You're an adult.
frontal lobe. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So then I was like, nah. Because the initial reaction is like, I wasn't raped. Nah, right? How dare you, right? And even now when I think about it, it's still a very happy memory,
Yeah.
right? But the thing that happened was fucked up, right?
For who?
For
in
me.
general. What? So for you, you think
For me.
did it mess you up
Not
Do you
that it
reckon?
messed me up,
Yeah.
but now when I think back on it,
Yeah.
I recognize as the thing itself is fucked up. But
Right.
I still don't have any. If I saw the woman today, I would have no beef with her.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I never really got the time to get angry about it. It just was like a great fucking thing.
Did she like give you any advances when you were at this
No.
age? It was all you.
Yeah, I just like went for
And
it.
this is like,
Yeah, from nowhere. I just like,
Yeah.
yeah. Which often is how, even to this day, people stumble into sex, right? You kind of like, we don't really talk about it like, what are you okay with, blah, blah, blah. 'Cause you just, we had a glass of wine and then suddenly we're having sex, right?
Yeah.
It was kind of like that. Like you wake up and someone is rubbing their booty against
Yeah.
you.
Yeah,
Then you're
yeah,
like,
yeah.
okay, I think I'm getting a cue here.
yeah,
But,
that's my cue.
yeah, right? And then you just get in there
Yeah.
and you have no idea what you've agreed to.
Yeah.
Right? And so, in that situation, as far as that's concerned, it's a great memory,
Right.
right? And I think it was a good thing, or at least I thought it was a good thing, right? For someone else, it was very clearly that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
That's an abuse of power. That's a violation of someone who has no business having sex with someone of that age.
Yeah.
Right. So suddenly, my ideas of right and wrong are slightly different on that one specific thing, right? So what I'm learning is we need to be comfortable with allowing the possibility that we're wrong about everything that we hold to be true. So we think this is good, we think this is bad, but someone could come along and suddenly really, really change your perspective on something you know as factual.
Yeah.
Like a flat earther believed the earth was flat, right?
Yes.
If you look on the ground, it's flat.
Fair enough.
Obviously, it's flat.
Yeah.
What do you mean it's round, right? Or spherical,
Yeah.
right? Until someone did some maths, or until we saw footage from space. Oh wow, okay, maybe it's not flat after all.
And there's still some flat Earth theorists out
See,
there.
so now,
My word.
so now that ties now into the kind of tools and senses we're using to perceive reality, right? Because I think in primary school you're taught electrons go from one direction to the other direction, but that was the initial theory, right? And it's easy to explain things that way initially,
Especially
right?
as for a kid.
Yeah, right. Or like 5 minus 8, it can't, right? Until the technology, the tools, our ideas around things eventually catch up. Like, actually, no. If you look at, if we now get a microscope, right? There are things that are smaller than an ant. Wow.
Yeah.
But as far as we're all concerned, ants are the smallest thing on
Smallest
the planet at
thing
some
you can
point,
see, yeah.
right? And there's nothing beneath that. It's just there's the smallest units of life, right? So our ideas of truth and of good and bad are always going to, in my opinion, are always going to revolve around how well we can perceive the environment and sense things with our own senses or the tools we have around us, right? And something like good and evil, you can't even quantify. There's no tool to quantify it, right? Because it's all opinion. It just so happens a lot of people have the same opinion.
If most people have the same opinion, then
Yeah,
that's the truth.
right? And that can apply to a cult,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So in most people's eyes, a cult is a bad thing, and if you have a cult of 1,000 people, and 100 of them are like, I don't know about this suicide pact. I'm not so sure.
Yeah.
Right? They're the ones in the wrong in that context.
Yeah.
Right.
And they get
And
persecuted for it.
they get ostracized,
Yeah.
whatever, right? And which is why we hold on to these ideas of reality, because there's a cost of you disengaging, right? If you can imagine you grew up in a Muslim family
Yeah.
your whole life and you've been told this is the way we do things, and you're not a cultural Muslim, you're a believer through and through, just the culture, the religion, everything. Right? You saying, actually, I thought about it, I want to leave. That means you're going to lose your family, you're going to lose your community, your idea of church, right? It's a huge thing to try and walk away from.
Yeah.
So your reality is, internally, is now different, but what you have to live with is also a thing you have to consider. Am I okay moving out of this reality completely and starting one that matches my beliefs, or do I just enjoy this one? Even though I know it deep inside, I don't believe any of it. But for my own health and mental well-being, I need to stay in it.
There's so much to lose.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And especially if you're big on family and community, it's at the very core of who you are and your purpose in life. You can't just walk away from that. Right? And that's why people also struggle with people don't make sense to them, right? If we take sexuality for argument's sake, right? If your idea of sexuality ties into other things around your identity, right? So if you think as a religious person, the only people who can exist are heterosexual people.
Yeah.
That's it, right? So it's not only a matter of you don't like to have sex with people with similar genitalia. It's actually your education system believes the same thing. Your moral values believe the same thing. The country constitution believes the same thing. Your parents, authority figures all believe the same thing, right? The moment someone who conflicts that, or someone who you can't deny exists, right? Exists. You have two options. You have to label them as quote unquote a crazy person with a mental disorder that needs treatment, or you have to accept you've been living a lie.
Right.
Right? I'm generalizing, but those are the sort of true broad options I can see, right? So if I accept that, okay, it's fine, it's okay, legally they can get married now, it means I'm chipping away at my other little belief. Which is why it's very difficult to convince someone who's so staunch in their belief system. They've accepted it as fact. Well, no matter what the belief system is, it could be science as a belief, because science is a belief system.
Yeah.
Based on different things we used to measure, blah, 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 but it's a belief system.
And it's always changing.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So that's the nice thing about science, that allows for mistakes. It says, no, as to best of our knowledge, this is how things are playing out. If someone comes and says better or otherwise, then we can move on to the new idea.
That's why they call them theories.
Yeah, right. You never prove a thing.
Yeah.
You strongly support a theory.
Exactly.
You never prove it.
Yeah.
Right. And there's this philosopher dude who believed like you should try every single religion.
Okay.
Like, so I'm now deep into Buddhism. And then someone came and pitched Christianity. Oh, yeah, that sounds better. Yeah. Move away. Move on to the next thing. Move on to the next thing. Because how can you form such an opinion about that you're the right one when you've never tried any of the other options?
Yeah.
Right?
That makes sense.
It's hectic. So we believe these absolute things that have no way of being quantified, and there's no way they're absolute, right? Because for one reason is we made them up. We made up those words to describe this thing we think we're observing, we think we believe, and we think we're seeing, right? But because we're not part in creating the whole system, we can't remove ourselves from the system. So of our biases as human beings that we impart onto the system, right? And so then you think about this idea of God, right?
Yeah.
And I mean God in the sense that the thing that's independent of us and the universe. Yeah, it can be a spiritual entity. It can be the totality of everything. It can be whatever you want to call it, right? There's something that people think exists that's outside of us. So that thing is eternal, which means that thing is outside of time as well, right? That thing can have an opinion that can be taken seriously, right? If that thing is even capable of forming an opinion, or is it just random acts firing up and things are happening, right? So as long as we live in a system with time, right, it's all going to be relative, right? Because time is going. My and yours experience of time are very different.
Extremely,
right?
yeah.
Very different.
Very different.
So we can't equate the similar experiences for everyone. We can't say, okay, you've experienced a matchstick to your finger the same way I've. Even if we do it identically, it's never going to be the same. Okay, I do movement on my hands a lot, so I've got calloused fingers. So the flame is still the same flame, but it doesn't burn as much. So I'm actually done. That's nice and warm, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's been messing with me. This idea that actually we're just making really intelligent, what we think are intelligent guesses about things and treating them as fact. Because it's convenient as well. There's a lot of things we get done because we assume things as facts. Like, gravity, right? You can try and argue around it, blah, 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 blah. If you jump off a building, you're going to hit the ground.
You're hitting the ground.
Right?
There's no two ways about it.
So I'm not saying remove yourself from reality. But I'm saying, okay, maybe question some of the things you think you know as absolutes and allow room for them to be something else. Maybe you just have a limited opinion on the thing. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Let me just pay some bills real quick. So this episode is brought to you by brothersbeard.africa. For all your beard needs, they have an organic product. It's very good. Works totally well for your beard. It's got Moroccan oil and a bunch of other stuff that I won't get into because I forgot what it is. but yeah, so they have a couple products that they offer. So they've got the Brothers Beard set, which is the comb, the brush, the Brothers Beard balm, and the beard oil. Then they have the balm and the oil as a set, which goes for like $350, and then Brothers Beard on its own oil, which goes for $200. It's good stuff. It works well for your beard. Yeah. Would you ever consider using
Yeah,
beard
actually,
oil?
I have some questions about this.
Okay.
Well, I don't have much of a beard, right?
Okay.
But a friend of mine gave me like, her name is Kafui, and she makes like, she's got a company that makes natural.
She's Zambian,
No, Ghanaian.
Ghanaian, right?
Yeah. And she makes these products for skincare. So natural products for black people in mind.
Right.
Right. So hair, skin, soap, that kind of stuff. And so I'm really interested in this thing, right? So she gave me this oil, and I use it on my face and then consequently on my beard as well. And it looks nice. It glows a little bit. I haven't used it today, so it doesn't look that good.
Okay.
Right? But I don't have much of a beard either, so I'm not really that concerned. But actually, the question now, does Brothers Beard make something for pubic hair? Right? And I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Right? If you're the kind of person who cares about how your beard looks, right, or your hair looks, right, why does it stop here, right?
Yeah.
Because at some point, some other human being is going to see your junk and your pubic hair if you keep it, right, or your armpit hair, right? And if you're into your grooming, do people use grooming products for the pubic hair? Do you have like a little comb reserved, like you have a balm, you have a routine? Because I know of a company that sells it looks like a little Tic Tac, not Tic Tac, those mints, Fisherman Friends mints? Sometimes they come in a little metallic can that you like slide open.
Yes.
Yeah, you get your mint out,
Yeah.
So it's like a little balm that you like rub in your hands and you like rub around your testicles. And the idea is it keeps them smelling fresh, right? And so if someone happens to go down there and you just showered and you rub your balm on, right? It doesn't smell neutral. It smells like fucking jasmine or whatever, right? It's like, ooh, that's a nice little welcoming surprise, right?
Yeah.
So, Brothers Beard, are you going to make like pubic hair grooming things or what?
I guess Brothers Beard, their focus is on getting you someone who will then go down on you. So that's their focus. Once they're getting down on you, their job is done. They're like, hey, your beard, attracted this person. so they're not worried. They
can't save everyone.
Yeah, they can't save everyone. They decided to focus on, what gets you someone to actually go down on you.
Wow.
But who knows? Maybe they'll have a pube division.
Yeah, I think there's a gap there.
There might be a gap
Yeah,
there.
they need to create a demand for it and then corner that market.
And that's
before it
where
pops off.
that's where people like us come in.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Product development.
Feedback. Hey. Nah, I feel you. Well, I don't know. We'll see what they think about that. But I think for this episode, I think that's about it. Thanks for joining me again. Appreciate it as always. It's always fun, man.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. Appreciate you coming through. But yeah, thank you so much for joining me. I'll check y'all next week. This is Amateur Opinions. We are the amateurs that bring you great opinions. Peace out.